So as I'm sure everybody has heard by now, Evgeny Dadonov is a Montreal Canadien at the expense of Shea Weber's contract who went to the Golden Knights. Now, we know that Dadonov is getting paid $5 million next season, and we know that he's a good scorer. I mean, in the last 16 games of the season, 16 points with the Vegas Golden Knights. He was mad about that failed trade call to the Anaheim Ducks, but there's no denying that Dadonov is a very good player. And there's no denying that teams are going to want him. But Ken Hughes has made it known that he's leaning more towards letting Dadonov start the season with the Montreal Canadiens. Which would mean, look, if this guy isn't gone at the trade deadline at the absolute latest, I'm going to be in complete shock. Okay, to me, there's no way that Dadonov is a Montreal Canadien next season unless they go on like this magical playoff run and they need him and he scores 30, 35 goals or something, which maybe he's the next Radulov, who knows, but he's a very good player, and the position in which the Montreal Canadiens are in, I think it would be very smart, and I know that Ken Hughes is a smart guy. He also knows that shedding that $5 million after getting rid of Shea Weber's $6.5 that was on the books for the Habs, it's very, very important. And you can get good assets for this guy. Again, like I said, he's a good player. He puts up points. Last year, he scored 20 goals, 43 points in 78 games. 20 goal scorers don't grow on trees, okay? You can't find them out of thin air. They're kind of tough to find in the NHL because the hardest thing to do is score goals. So to me, this guy has some serious value at the trade deadline. And especially if he becomes a good asset with the Habs, if they choose to let him play, he could be worth more. But the risk there is he could also be worth less because he's going to be playing on a Habs team that's not the greatest. So what if you head into the trade deadline and Dadonov is either injured or has 5 goals or something and it's not working at all? All of a sudden, his value is much less than it is now. And I understand this is a little bit greedy because, it's a blessing in the first place that you got something like this for Shea Weber's contract. But to me, Ken Hughes really has to evaluate, do I really want this guy on my roster to start the season? Because right now, a team who looks at themselves and says, hey, we're a contender, but we need a couple of, extra guys to fill out our second and third line to help with scoring, you know what? They might be willing to pay a good price and might be willing to pay more than you would at the trade deadline. I know the argument for the deadline is that then you really know who the contenders are, who really is chasing a cup, and they're maybe willing to pay more because they're saying, hey, we've got an actual shot at this. But, again, that's a risk with Dadonov. You don't know what his production is going to be like. And yes, I will say that he's been consistent in his career, but he's also had some up and down time in the NHL. And if he's in a spot where he's not playing well, it tends to snowball for him. So, hey, this is a guy that you need to look at him purely as a trade chip if you're the Montreal Canadiens. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is a business. And I know that he's got this no move clause and stuff. But still, you need to look at moving him now. And if you can't move him now for something decent, that's when you say, okay, we'll keep him and hope that he plays well. And look, I could see this guy playing with, Shane Wright, Nick Suzuki, and Cole Caulfield. I could see him being in that top 6 on this Habs team. I really could. But here's the thing, is right now, Dadonov will not get you a first-round pick. Even with the 20 goals, he will not fetch you a first-round pick. But if you play out that risk and he has 17, 18, 19, 20-plus goals at the trade deadline, he might get you a first-round pick. And honestly, that's a risk that I think Ken Hughes, from what he said in the media, might be willing to take. He might be willing to hold on to this player and risk his depreciation in value for an uptick in production so that he can sell this guy for even more. And then maybe end up with a first-round pick, an extra one, at the 2023 NHL draft for Shea Weber's contract, which that would be an absolute magic trick from Ken Hughes if that's what happens. If there's a good prospect, a first round, let's be real. Anything above a 7th round pick is a magic trick for Shea Weber's contract, a guy who's never going to play anything. And Ken Hughes didn't even have to throw anything in. So, hey, I'm just saying, I know I'm getting a little bit greedy with this Dadonov thing, but It's a risk, and it's one that I think Ken Hughes might be willing to take, and maybe that's the right move, because if you can turn Shea Weber's contract into a first-round pick, you're going to get a round of applause, a standing ovation from the Montreal Canadiens crowd. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. What should they do with Dadonov, now or the offseason? Because remember, you can still get a decent amount for him now. Okay? I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.